Welcome to the CITGO Bassmaster Tournament Trail. I'm Tommy Sanders here along with Jerry McInnes, and this is a very special week when a lot of dreams come true. The dreams of the everyday angler, maybe the guy who fishes alongside you every Saturday in your local bass club. This is the week where that guy gets to be a part of the big time, a very special event called the Bass Federation Championship.
So much going on here at Bassmasters today, actually for the next several weeks, and the majority of it concerns who's going to the Classic. Now, we have 54 Federation anglers competing today, and 49 of them are going to go home. 5 of them get to make reservations in New Orleans.
For the Bassmasters Classic.
Right.
We're coming to you from Lake Tuscaloosa, right there in central Alabama. Not an old lake, only impounded back in '71. Usually known for deep, clear water, rocky banks and cliffs, but so much rain recently that those elements aren't coming into play today.
Oh, so much rain. We've got the North River, which feeds the lake way high and muddy, making the upper end of the lake a little bit off color. The lower end is very fishable. Actually, the whole lake is very fishable, especially for these 54 anglers.
We get the second day underway. A big crowd on hand, about 1,000 people, which is big for a takeoff. And, of course, anglers from all over the world, including this man right here, Shigeru Tsukiyama. 54 anglers from all over the world. There are 50,000 plus Federation anglers worldwide, and only 5 of them are going to the Classic.
The CITGO Bassmaster Tournament Trail is presented by Busch.
We are on our way, ready to show you some of the action from day number 2 of this 3-day championship. As always, we have Fish Fishburne down at the lake. You know this championship, Fish. How hard is it really to get here?
Tommy, this is the toughest way to qualify for a Bassmasters Classic there's ever been. These guys start out at the club level with 50,000 other competitors in 2,800 different bass clubs. And, of course, you know we've got the international federations represented here this week. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to be competing in this thing because it's a make-it-or-break-it situation, and only 5 anglers go on to New Orleans this summer.
All right, thank you for that, Fish Fishburne. We'll be relying on Fish a good bit today during this Federation Championship as we get the second day of this 3-day tournament competition underway on Lake Tuscaloosa. And out to Carl Gugold of Westerville, Ohio. And Carl lists his occupation as stay-at-home dad. How about that?
Stay-at-home dad. That's Mr. Mom.
Right.
They made a movie about him.
Michael Keaton, right.
Hey, Carl's a good enough guy they could make a movie about him. Really enjoyed being with him. And he, like all the other anglers, are throwing buzz baits early in the morning. Boy, he getting a lot of strikes. Some lose a bunch of fish, but boy, they're very productive.
Yes! Now that's what I'm talking about. Sir.
You know, most of the time when you lose fish on a buzz bait, there's hardly anything you can do about it. It's just a difficult lure to hook up with. But most of the guys are using trailer hooks today, and we'll explain that a little bit later on. But for now, Carl's doing a pretty good job.
Here we go. Here we go. Oh, man.
Here he is. We saw him a little bit earlier today before we got started. Shigeru Tsukiyama of Japan. The Japanese anglers fishing in the western region. Of course, Shigeru is the only Japanese angler in the competition. I should point that out. But boy, what a great tradition of anglers they've got coming from Japan these days.
And you know, Tommy, I don't know what his aspirations are. I've never known a Japanese angler who did not want to be a professional bass fisherman, but this kid was really sharp. I was so impressed.
I got one. Woo! Lucky.
Shigeru speaks far better English than either of your commentators speak Japanese, but still you have to kind of listen carefully. But he is very eloquent when he talks about what this tournament means to him.
Yeah. Bassmaster Classic is a fisherman and Japanese bass fisherman's dream. Yeah, great competition. Oh. I hope this tournament is my dream. Dream come true. This competition in Tuscaloosa. My happy and enjoyed. No sleeping every day, every night.
This might be a new one for Mr. Tsukiyama. I don't think they have to put up with dogs patrolling the bank over in Japan. As we move over to Louisiana's Cole Garrett.
Come on now.
Oh, I don't have him hooked good. He come off.
And a 2 or 3 pounder is like gold in these waters.
I didn't get a good hook set, and that was a good one. That was a 2-pounder right there.
Boy, that's tough, Cole. Cole's fishing shallow with a Texas rigged plastic worm, and what do we have right here?
He may be chasing baitfish. I don't know.
Maybe
We've got a dog. And he doesn't look like he's in distress or anything.
Not at all. And look at old Carl. He's just going about his business, isn't he?
Well, look out for the dog.
There we go. There we go. Here's a nice one. Here's a kicker. Here's a kicker. Here's a kicker in the boat. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. That's what I need to go to the Classic. Look at that. Oh, that's 3 good quality. I'm buying steak dinner tonight. Keep this up.
I don't think that dog is employed by Cole, but if he's chasing baitfish, we just need to check the rule book. We need to check all this out.
We need to keep up with that.
And he keeps going and going. He
That
loves
little
to swim,
guy
I guess.
is working it, and Cole is over here fishing without a dog. He's going cold
Handicapped,
turkey.
right? Absolutely.
But he's the only angler that we have seen so far that is not throwing either a topwater bait or a buzz bait. Cole is pitching his little plastic worm and tubes up against that bank.
Now back over to Shigeru Tsukiyama.
Yo, bass. Woo! One more. Bass. Yeah, small. Japanese size. Not American.
Well, Shigeru's saying maybe expected bigger fish here in North America, but so far in this tournament, what he's getting is just bigger competition.
Just. Well, every day. Almost just. Just. More big.
Shigeru Tsukiyama, just the squeaker that goes in the box. That one counts. I tell you what, we're going to keep up with everything having to do with the Bassmasters today, including that all-important Bush Bass Angler of the Year race. We'll talk to some of the guys right in the middle of that, including our leader by 1 point, Alton Jones.
And much more, Tommy.
Tell them about that.
Hey, we have put together the top 10 catches of the year on tour, and we're going to show you that. Tail end of the show, Fish is going to help us with that, too.
Stick around for that. Meanwhile, back to the Bass Federation Championship. Now, all these anglers are competing against the full field, but more importantly, they are competing against the other anglers in their division, the best from each division. Each 5 divisions are the ones who go to the Bassmasters Classic. So let's take a look at, after 2 days of fishing, how these divisional standings are shaping up. In the northern region, Stefano Corsi from Florence, but not Florence, Alabama. Florence, Italy in 2nd place, and our leader overall in 1st place in the northern, Carl Gugol.
And Carl is, well, all these guys are throwing buzz baits. He's fishing north, very near the river.
All right, in the eastern region, Joel St. Germain of Rhode Island is in 2nd place, and Ron Schneider of Hewitt, New Jersey, who's had the biggest weight so far in the tournament. As a matter of fact, he was the first guy to weigh in on day 1 of this tournament in 1st place in the east. In the central division, Piri Prinsloo of Zimbabwe is in 2nd place, and 1st place is Cole Garrett from Calvin, Louisiana, population 400.
And Cole is also throwing a buzz bait. Now he's fishing north on the lake.
In the southern division, Jimmy Lankford, our Paralyzed Veterans of America champion, is in 2nd place with 13 pounds and 2 ounces, but Jerry Shawver, the commanding lead in the south from Jacksonville, Florida, that man with 18 pounds and 1 ounce.
Jerry's a school teacher, Tommy, and he's throwing a walking lure. He's up near Banyan Creek.
In the west, Shigeru Tsukiyama, who we just saw from Japan, in 3rd place. Ron Colby, returning back-to-back appearances in the Federation Championship in 2nd place. In 1st place in the west, 13 pounds, 8 ounces. Tom Shockton of Driggs, Idaho. And Fish Fishman, of course, going to be with us all day on site. And Fish, I have a very important question for you. I want your honest opinion. How good are these guys really?
Well, Tommy, you know what? They're supposed to be amateurs, but let me divulge some information to you. We got a guy, Michael Gibney from Washington State. He already won a CITGO Bassmaster Open event. It's a whole gamut of anglers and their abilities. It just goes on and on. Some are really good, some, they're genuine amateurs.
Well, can you give us any sorts of insights into their equipment, the techniques they are using, the lures they're using out there?
Yeah, I can. You know, Tommy, top water with the weather conditions that we're experiencing here in Tuscaloosa seem to be the #1 pattern. They're fishing Zara spooks, and they're also throwing some of those Sammy top water baits. But you got a lot of guys in the grass beds. They're throwing spinner baits, and they're flipping and pitching jigs.
Well, hey, Fish, top 10 catches of the year coming up later on. You're going to stick around and help us out, aren't you?
Oh, let me tell you what, guys. I'm ready for that. I've been working on my favorite picks for the season, and I got news for you viewers out there. David Letterman, his top 10, got nothing on the Bassmasters.
By all means, stick around for that. Our top 10 catches of the year coming up later in the program. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get started with the third and final day of this competition at the Bass Federation Championship.
The CITGO Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by CITGO, by Bush, and by Skeeter.
Welcome back to the CITGO Bassmaster Federation Championship. We're on Lake Tuscaloosa in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. About 5,800 acres, 177 miles of shoreline here. 54 boats out on the water, anglers from all over the world. There, as you look at our division races going on right now, the winner in each division gains a trip to the Bassmasters Classic. So some tough competition going on right here. From Henry, Tennessee, this is Jimmy Lankford. The reason Jimmy Lankford is in this tournament, he won the Paralyzed Veterans of America Grand National Bass Tournament. That happened earlier this year out on Lake Havasu in Arizona.
And Tommy, he is fishing in the Southern Division. And we're not covering him because he has a handicap. We're covering him because he's a contender. He is in this second place going into this day. If he has a great day today, he's going to the Classic. Wouldn't that be something? He had an accident 25 years ago, had a racing accident. He raced three-wheelers. I think he'll talk to us about that a little bit later on. But what a great attitude, and boy, he's a good angler.
He's a player in this event so far.
He's throwing a jig over against that bank, and I think the guys that are fishing the lower end of the lake, as I said earlier, everybody's throwing buzz baits. Hey, that's a good fish right there.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you.
I said earlier that a lot of guys are throwing buzz baits, and they are, but Jimmy opted for throwing a jig up against that bank early in the morning, and it has paid off very well.
Paralyzed Veterans of America, the PVA, have a bass fishing tour. It's been going on quite a while. Jimmy, as a matter of fact, has been fishing it for 10 years, but this is the first year he's been able to capture the Grand National title.
And Jimmy Boy is a mechanic, and he must be a pretty good one because he built his own trolling motor up there in the front of the boat. We'll have a better look at it a little bit later on.
Back over to Carl Glugold, our leader after 2 days of competition. Still our leader, unofficially 19.5 pounds at this point. He misses that fish right there. Overall leader is certainly important. The division race is probably the most important to these guys, but the overall winner here is going to get an invitation to compete in the ESPN Great Outdoor Games this summer in Reno, and this is the first topwater we've seen out here.
This is Jerry SHAWVER, and he is throwing an old walking bait. He missed a fish right there. The things are a little bit tough getting started.
They're just not ready yet. They're just not ready.
Now, what does he mean by that?
Well, I think that that could be a number of things. The water temperature could change a little bit. It could get a little cloudier. It could get sunnier, and that all has such a big effect on topwater fishing. But I think mostly it's the fisherman's attitude.
Thank you, Lord. It is a keeper. It's a good start.
Jerry SHAWVER's from Jacksonville, Florida, high school mathematics teacher. Back over to Carl Glugold, still working that buzzbait.
Oh, and still missing fish on that. But hey, Carl's not taking advantage of the strikes he's getting.
It's brutal. I mean, none of them exploded really like some of them exploded on it yesterday. When the better fish hit it yesterday, they seem to just explode on it.
Oh, man, he missed another one.
Right under that pad.
I said earlier that when you're fishing a buzzbait, there's no exact way to catch those fish. They just catch themselves at times, and you have little streaks where you just can't hardly hook one. And we're watching Jimmy Lankford again right now, who's pitching plastics. I believe he's throwing a tube over against those weeds, and he's doing a pretty good job. And Tommy, you know, this might be a good time to say that the Federation is not all about competitive bass fishing. The guys from coast to coast do a lot of environmental work and work with the casting kids, and boy, they're just involved in everything, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. The tournament is really a small part of the thing, tournament fishing. These guys spend most of their time securing habitat for bass, and that's the way we secure the future of bass fishing. Good job, Jimmy Lankford. Jimmy locked in that battle with Jerry SHAWVER for the Southern Division leadership. That's occupying his attention today. Each and every day, though, for the past 25 years, he's been dealing with his disability.
I'd been racing motocross bikes and dirt bikes and stuff like that, and I'd decided I wanted to try to race a three-wheeler. And I guess that was a pretty big mistake. I was doing real well. First race I went to, I took second place in it. You know, so I said, shoot, this can't be too hard. Well, the second race I went to, it was a little bit different track, something I wasn't used to, and kind of got tangled up with another bike, and it flipped me end over end forward, broke my back. So that's the reason I'm using a wheelchair today. I say, hey, you know, it's a different world, but there's a great big world out here waiting for you. You know, there's so many things to enjoy. I've played tennis, I've played basketball, I've played, done track and field events. I mean, life is what you make of it.
Certainly making the most of it this week. What a great attitude from Jim Lankford. Our overall leader, Carl Blugel, having his problems today. And when we come back, maybe a closer look at Carl's good luck charm.
You're going to be taking oh, he's going to lap.
Welcome back to the CITGO Bassmaster Tournament Trail. We truly have a world championship going on out there on Lake Tuscaloosa, the Bass Federation Championship. We got 5 slots in this summer's CITGO Bassmasters Classic to fill. We are going to fill them today, so stay with us. Meanwhile, Jerry McInnes is all rigged up and ready to show us the lure of the day, what these guys are using, and this is one that's fun to watch.
And this one is a buzz bait. It's designed to fish right across the surface, and it's a very frustrating lure to fish because you lose so many fish, as I say, right across the surface, and that blade is turning and churning and really upsetting a bass. I've always have said that a bass strikes this bait out of anger, and he's very territorial in the first place, but he's mad at it. Watch it come across the point of this lily pad, and a fish is probably laying under those lily pads and is saying, man, I'm going to have nothing to do with that coming into my area right here. Now then, that fish that you just saw was lost, and that is the frustrating part about this buzzbait. So you want to put a trailer hook on it. And when you buy a trailer hook, it normally comes with a little sleeve over the eye, and the thing to do is to put the point of the lure through that sleeve, and now you have a trailer hook. This will really up your odds for hooking the fish that strikes the bait. And as you can see in our underwater shot right here, again, the blade is causing so much disturbance on top of the water that I think it brings the fish into that area, and then he will visually strike what he sees. Now, one of our anglers out there is Cole Garrett, and he, like a number of the other anglers, are fishing this buzzbait.
Surfing with a buzzbait.
Yeah, that's right, Cole. Usually you think of the buzzbait as a first thing in the morning, flat water type situation bait. But these guys are getting the results today, so they're sticking with it, pushing the envelope a little farther.
Is he gonna make it? That is the big question.
Cole now keeping the lead, his #1 position in the central region.
I'm gonna kiss
right now we're going to go over and check in with Ron Schneider, another guy who is proud to be here. He's leading the eastern region.
Yeah, people don't realize how hard it is to make it to the Classic in the Federation. And believe me, I've just been the fortunate one. I've only been tournament fishing 7 years. I've been fishing all my life, though. I was a big trout fisherman and turned bass fisherman. My dad and brother-in-law started doing tournaments. We had a friend that wanted to try it, too, and that got me interested. So I joined a local bass club, a buddy tournament. And it was just a local buddy tournament with a friend 7 years ago. Then I joined the Fed the following year, so I've only been in the Fed 6 years.
He seems like he's apologizing for being here, but my gosh, he caught 14 pounds on the first day, so he's doing a darn good job. And you know, when I talked to him earlier about what his weaknesses were, he said making choices, that he didn't have that down yet. Well,
How was that?
He started the day down the lake in the clear water and then made the choice, after not doing very good, to move up the lake in the muddier water. And so far, it's really paying off for him. So maybe his choices weren't all wrong.
Yeah, if he can keep making choices at that rate, he will be on track to head to the Bassmasters Classic in July. Down in Louisiana Delta, down in New Orleans. Ron, a 35-year-old graphic designer from Hewitt, New Jersey. He's doing pretty well for himself today. Back over to Carl Glugold.
Come on, Carl, put one of them fish in the boat. He's having such a hard time of it. Man, he put that one in the boat before we even saw it.
That'll work. It's a small keeper, but it's pounds. All right?
What do you say we flash back to day 2 and that dog that was swimming around Carl's boat? Do you remember that? Well, look behind him right now.
Hey, here's my trick right there. Look at him chasing the fish out. You go there, pup. You better hope there ain't no big. You better hope there ain't no big grass pike in this place.
This actually looks like a little Jack Russell to me. Looks like Fraser's dog Eddie, but he sure does chase buzzbaits. Tommy, can you believe this? Now, if you watch him, he is going for the bait right now.
That's what he's doing. He's going after it just again and again.
And
every
now
time
he's
he
coming
throws
back.
it out.
Now watch his head as Carl picks the lure up and makes the cast.
You're a nut.
He's looking. He's got it spotted. Whoa! I bet.
Tracks everything.
These guys are having to compete against anglers from 46 of the 50 states, also 5 foreign countries. They didn't know, though, they're going to be up against one dog from Alabama when they got here to the lake. They didn't know that, did they?
This got so bad that they had to go get the dog and put him in the boat.
So that's where he is today. He's in the observation boat.
He started again today, and so they immediately put him in the boat.
It's for his own safety. It's for his own good.
Fantastic.
Back over to Jerry SHAWVER. He's taken our lead now, unofficially over 20 pounds.
Come on, lady. Stay on. Stay on, girl. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. All right. Let's go, girl. How good are you hooked? Oh, she's hooked good. Coming in. Woo! Man, good fish.
There goes Jerry SHAWVER. Take a look at him on our leaderboard now with a good lead in the Southern Division. A slight lead overall over this field. When we come back, we'll talk with Bush Angler of the Year leader Alton Jones. Later on in our show, the top 10 catches of the year for 2003. Don't go away. Watching the CITGO Bassmaster Tournament Trail this week, the Bass Federation Championships from Lake Tuscaloosa in Alabama. Let's take a look at our leaderboard. We are looking for divisional leaders. The winners in each of the 5 divisions are the ones who are going to the Bassmasters Classic. Take a look at it right there. Carl Glugold from the Northern Division, 21 pounds in second place. First place, our Southern Division leader and overall leader, Jerry SHAWVER, with 23 pounds. And incidentally, the overall winner is going to get the invite to the ESPN Great Outdoor Games in Reno this fall. The Bush Bass Angler of the Year race, water race, Alton Jones, the 1-point lead over Jay Ellis, Roger Bowler, and Mark Davis right in there. This is what you're looking for when you start the season.
And our last event of the year takes place on the Alabama River next week, and all this will be decided then. And right now, the weather conditions are pretty tough. A lot of rain down there, Tommy.
We have Shaw Grigsby down there on the river, of course, getting ready for the tournament. 9 inches, I guess, of rain over the past 3 weeks in central Alabama. What kind of effect is this going to have on the river and the conditions?
It's I guess what you'd call the kiss of death for fishing is high and muddy. But that really doesn't mean anything, because we can find some water that's a little bit clearer, and I think the anglers are going to have some fun here. The river is actually a tremendous fishery right here at Montgomery. It's got big spots and really nice largemouth. And when I'm talking about big spots, there's a lot of 3 to 5 pound spotted bass, and they're ferocious fighters. So you may even see a 6 or 7 pounder come out of here.
So there are some oxbows and small lakes to get off the big river. If it gets too high and muddy, you can find some good clean water.
Right. Those little oxbows, in fact, we're sitting on one right here that actually, you know, will have a little bit clearer water because it's not affected by the main river. But that muddy water, as that river comes up, that muddy water spreads out. But the closer you get to the bank, the clearer it's going to be. And I think the fish are going to follow it right on up.
Well, okay, Shaw, and of course this is a tough one, but what do you think the conditions are going to be during the tournament?
You know, I think what's this whole tournament is going to come down to you know, with this high water, it's really going to come down to finding a group of fish, and it's going to change daily. The water's either going to be, you know, keep coming up because it's predicted right now to continue to rain off and on throughout the whole week.
Well, Shaw, you know we're not going to let you get out of here without a Bush Angler of the Year prediction. What we want to know is you're in 5th place. Do you have a shot?
Well, back in, I think it was 1995, Mark Davis was 26 or 27 points back, and he made the charge up and won Angler of the Year that year. The difference here is that there's only 50 guys here, so there's only 50 points to be gotten. That makes it a lot tougher. Obviously, if you know, those top 4 guys fall back and place below 25th, and I win this thing, which is what I'm going to try to do, then of course that can change it. I could actually win it. But right now, I'm just going to go out there and try to figure these fish out. It's a neat condition because, you know, it's so different than what we fish. We fish probably only a few times on high, muddy rivers, and one of them we fished at Peoria, Illinois one year, and Jay won that tournament. So Jay has some real good, you know, hardcore experience in high and muddy situations. I have some experience there. I'm looking forward to getting out there and fishing this place.
All right, thank you so much. Shaw Grigsby from the Alabama River. And you heard him, Jerry. He says he's going to fish to win this thing. If he does that, that'll make it interesting.
Well, he has the ability to win, but in order for that to happen, the 4 guys ahead of him would have to bomb out, and that's not going to happen.
Those are 4 strong characters. Let's take a look at the top 4 in that Bush Angler of the Year race, beginning with 4th place, Mark Davis from Mount Ida, Arkansas. What a year he's had. Long recognized as one of the most versatile fishermen ever. 24th at Eufaula, a 2nd down in South Carolina on Santee Cooper, a 3rd on his home water, you could say, Lake Hamilton.
Man, Mark Davis is solid. Remember Ron Sheffield last week made the comment that Davis doesn't win much, but he's in 5th to 6th place every event.
How hard is that to do? Who saw this guy coming? Roger BOLER from Slidell, Louisiana. Maybe not even Roger BOLER himself expected this kind of year. A 2nd at our 2nd tournament at Okeechobee, 13th on Toledo Bend at Santee Cooper. He finishes 15th place, and it just keeps getting better. A 3rd on the California Delta.
Well, Tommy, you remember I predicted him great things to him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you sure did. I forgot.
No, I never saw him before Lake Okeechobee. I'm like you, but he kept showing up all year long, week after week. I don't know if he has a lot of experience fishing under the pressure he's going to be under this week.
Well, you talk about pressure, you talk about this guy right here, Jay Ellis, the 2002 Bassmasters Classic champion. Hasn't been far out of it all year long. A 16th down at Lake Seminole, 3rd place on Toledo Bend, 11th at Clear Lake. Jay Ellis just kept going.
Pressure's a big deal at the end of the year, and Jay fishes under pressure every time out. He's the Classic champion. Everybody's watching him.
All right, we've saved the best for last. In 1st place in this Bush Angler of the Year race, the man from Waco, Texas, the leader by 1 point is Alton Jones. And Alton, I got to ask you, have you ever been in a position like this before?
I never have. This is it's new ground for me, and I got to tell you, it's really exciting because this is what we look for our whole careers, is an opportunity to win Angler of the Year, and so I've got to say that you know, my excitement is at an all-time high this week.
So, Alton, how does all of this affect your practice this week?
Well, the way I'm approaching this, Jerry, is I'm approaching this like every other tournament, and I've got 4 days of fishing to do, and my goal is to win this tournament. And, you know, I know that Angler of the Year and points and that sort of thing will take care of themselves if I just do my job and figure out the fish. So really what I'm trying to do as best I can is just put the Angler of the Year thing completely out of my mind, figure out how to catch some fish, and we'll just throw it up in the air and see what God has in store.
Okay, Alton, with all the things that have been happening during the season, what was the most important moment of the year?
Well, I think probably the 2nd day at Santee Cooper when I caught a stringer. I don't remember what it was, but it was you know, almost 25 pounds, and I knew I was probably going to make the cut there. And after that, seeing the standings, I was surprised how high it moved up, and it was then that I realized that, hey, I'm actually going to have a shot at winning Angler of the Year. You know, if I can have some more good tournaments this season. So that's probably the time that it first crossed my mind that this might be a possibility.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Alton Jones, you got to pull for Alton a little bit. He's been out there overachieving for so many years. He is a good guy. And you reckon we're going to see him a little bit later in our top 10 catches of the year?
I'm not going to tell you what number, but yes, he's going to show up.
That's something to look forward to. We look forward to coming back. When we return, we'll check in on our leader, Jerry SHAWVER, as the Bass Federation Championship continues.
The CITGO Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Progressive, by Mercury, and by Diamond Cut Jeans.
Welcome back to Alabama. We're right smack dab in the middle of the state. Tuscaloosa is the place. Lake Tuscaloosa is the venue for the CITGO Bassmaster Federation Championship. Lake Tuscaloosa, about 170 miles of shoreline, 5,800 acres, and boy, have they gotten the rain over the past 3 weeks. Let's take a look at our leaderboard in the Federation Championship. Jerry SHAWVER of Florida, overall our leader with 23 pounds unofficially, but what's important is the divisions. The winner of each division qualifies to fish the CITGO Bassmasters Classic later on this summer.
And Tommy, if I wanted to join the Federation, what would I do?
Well, I think first and foremost, you want to go to Bassmaster.com. There are over 2,800 chapters all over the world, so there's likely going to be one close to where you are.
Okay, well, we haven't seen Tom Shockton yet today. He's been fishing a spinnerbait up north in the river. He only caught one small fish, but the one he just put in the boat will certainly make up for a long, slow stretch. He's from Driggs, Idaho. And I don't know about the largemouth fishing in that area. I bet if you do catch a bass, he'd very likely be a good smallmouth bass.
Tom, coming to us from way up there in the Rockies, just reinforces our claim that there are Federation chapters just about everywhere.
These crayfish are so small, and you got to downsize for this lake because of the pressure. And they're eating crayfish up north, so they got to be eating crayfish here. We have the rocks, we have the right conditions for it. And we don't have the boat pressure right here in this spot. So I'm hoping to find a little sweet spot here that can hold a few fish. I don't know if you can rely on the log jams as a pattern yet. I know a lot of guys have been swimming this patches of grass on the outside. That's what I'm doing now. I'll definitely come back, you know. Like that. I'll definitely come back and hit that log jam and see, it could be a fluke since I just got one in the grass. I'm worried about a limit more than spending a lot of time on a log jam.
Boy, I really respect Ron. He's working so hard trying to figure these guys out.
Back over to our tournament overall leader here with 23 pounds unofficially, Jerry SHAWVER.
Gosh. God.
All right,
How
yes.
about that twist?
Nice.
That's how come these guys are missing fish. They've been leaving out that twist.
Well, I think it's a keeper. God, did he crush that? Oh, man, I don't know if that's going to make. I almost thought, if I'd have lost that fish, I'd have thought it was 3 pounds. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Lord. That's a fat 12-incher.
Kind of on the small side, but a keeper, and that means Jerry SHAWVER gets to keep his lead a little bit longer. Back over to Cole Garrett from Little Calvin, Louisiana, hanging on to his lead in the Central Division.
And he had a strike on that buzzbait out there in the grass, on the little point of grass there, and he's doing exactly what he should do, and that's pitch a bait right in there behind it. I tell you what, a buzzbait is great for locating fish.
That's a better fish. That's a little decent. That's not too bad. Not bad for a country boy, anyway. Not too bad for no country boy. I want that big one, though, that's in there. I think there's a big one. Oh, yeah. Look at here, looky here. Not too bad for a country boy. That's a little better fish. This lake is strange. And even in practice, one day I caught them on a tube, and the next day I couldn't get bit on a tube, and I caught all of them on a jig.
Two fish that did Cole Garrett a world of good, got him that much closer to a berth at this summer's CITGO Bassmasters Classic. When we come back, we'll finish up the fishing in the Federation Championship. We will have our weigh-in and find out who's going to the Bassmasters Classic. And it better happen fast because there's a storm on the way. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the CITGO Bassmaster Federation Championships from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, also the site of the national semifinals of the Casting Kids competition. How about Robert Snyder of Pineville, Louisiana, a perfect score of 150, two age divisions, 7 to 10, 11 to 13, and in each division, they're sending 5 divisional representatives to the Bassmasters Classic. Now back to the anglers who are trying to make it to the CITGO Bassmasters Classic. Here's Carl Gugold, who started out the day as our overall leader. He's behind in that category now, but still leading that northern region.
You ain't what I was looking
for. The happy angler from Westerville, Ohio, Carl Gugold.
I've been fishing Federation tournaments since I was 15 years old. The first time that I fished a Northern Divisional was on the Ohio River. I probably wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for my wife. She's been very supportive. She was a big player in sending me actually to the tournament that I needed to go to qualify to go there. Kick her in the boat. My wife must have a lot of confidence in me because she made reservations the same week as the Classic for us to go on a family vacation to Cape Cod, and we already have a deposit in. If I make the Classic, we're not going to Cape Cod.
Carl Gugold, who in this very tournament back in 1991 missed his bid for the Bassmasters Classic by 1.5 pounds. Looking better to get onto that Classic this year. Jimmy Lankford, now 44 years old, from Henry, Tennessee. You'll remember Jimmy Lankford in this tournament by virtue of his winning the Paralyzed Veterans of America Grand National Championship earlier this year out in Arizona at Lake Havasu.
Boy, he had such a great start. You remember those first two fish that he caught were just dandies. I thought,
first one was big. This one is
he's
small.
on his way. This is terrible right here. This was really little. Seems like the later we get in the day, the smaller the fish get. This one's going to barely miss 12 inches. And hey, we talked about him building his own trolling motor and handling his own boat. I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I built this one. It was kind of something I put together kind of quick to come to this tournament. I'd been used to using a different type trolling motor, and so I didn't have anything to go by, so I tried to make it a little universal, and I've been used to stepping on it with my left leg, and so I put a cross pedal on it so I could hit the on and off switch, which is right here, and then I can just lay my foot up on it and I can steer it with this. A lot of the guys, I've always used a hand control, and when I learned that I was going to fish this tournament, I knew I was going to have to use a foot control, so I kind of had to do a conversion.
Time is running out. Let's quickly check in on our overall leader unofficially with 24 pounds, Jerry SHAWVER. He's making one more move. Probably got time to fish one more spot. Now over to Cole Garrett. Louisiana, leading
man. We were talking about a little fish a second ago, and Cole puts in a big spotted bass.
Spot.
Hey, a 2-pound spot's a good one. A 4's a giant. That one's kind of in the middle.
Now that's a good spot right there. Fat. Yes, yes, yes. That is a limit. Catching a spot out of the grass. Now that is a change. Oh, I thought that was a big old largemouth there for a minute.
I tell you what, spotted bass don't get very big generally, but man, do they fight. They fight very much like a smallmouth bass. Now we're going to move over to Jerry SHAWVER, who has already caught his limit now, and he's actually going to use this fish to cull with. So his last 2 or 3 fish have been extremely small. His first one's over pretty good, though, so he's in very good shape. I tell you what, talk about being in good shape. All the anglers are. Well, they're fishing close to a dock. A lot of them are headed back to the ramp because we have some really bad weather on the way.
What a way to end it. There's a tornado in the area.
Yeah, what a way to end it, but it is over. We're about to have the weigh-in decide everything, including who's going to the Bassmasters Classic. And Jerry SHAWVER, can he hang on for the overall win and the trip to the ESPN Great Outdoor Games? A lot riding on this weigh-in. Remember that the top angler in each division goes to the CITGO Bassmasters Classic. In the Western region, Ron Colby was trying for back-to-back Classic appearances. He just couldn't get past Idaho's Tom Shockton, who finishes with 18 pounds, 15 ounces to win the Western. In the Eastern region, Ron Schneider started out in charge, but was overtaken by Joel St. Germain, who also finished second overall with a 24-pound, 2-ounce total. Cole Garrett of Louisiana coasted to the Classic with a victory in the Central region, a 3-day total of 22 pounds and 6 ounces. Ohio's Carl Gugold almost lapped the field in the Northern Division. His 21.6 was almost 8 pounds ahead of his nearest pursuer. And Jerry SHAWVER of Florida wraps up a trip to the Classic with a 3-day total of 24 pounds, 10 ounces. That's also the best overall. So the math teacher from Jacksonville wins an invitation to the ESPN Great Outdoor Games. We'll be seeing him in Reno. Well, they've lived the dream all week, all year, really, so hats off to the Federation champs. Don't go away. We'll be right back with the CITGO Bassmaster Tour's top 10 catches of the year.
Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Yamaha, by Citgo, and by Bush.
We welcome you back to the CITGO Bassmaster Tour, and we salute our overall winner in the Bass Federation Championship, Jerry SHAWVER, also our other 4 qualifiers for this summer's CITGO Bassmasters Classic. And now, as promised, with one more event left on the Bassmaster Tour, we're going to look at our catches of the year, in our opinion.
And this is going to be a lot of fun. Hey, why don't we just let old Fish kick it off for us?
Oh, this is great, guys. You ready for this? In the number 10 spot, we go to beautiful Lake Seminole where Jim Bitter, look at the size of this bass. He's over 7 pounds. And what does he catch him on? A rattle trap. What a great start. Now, remember, Bitter led the Bush Angler of the Year race several times this season. And then we move over to the number 9 spot. Who is this guy? Mr. Cinco, Roger Bowler. Yes, the Cinderella story again this season. Bowler catches this fish that anchors a huge limit on Lake Okeechobee and moves him way up into the standings for the Angler of the Year race. Now, what do you guys have in the number 8 spot?
Well, for number 8, we're headed back to Toledo Bend, the giant reservoir on the border between Texas and Louisiana. Usually a big fish lake this time of year, but too many cold fronts. Only a few big fish caught, and 3 of them by this angler right here, the eventual winner, David Wharton, and 3 of them from the same spot.
And Fish stole one of mine, but that's okay. We'll get by with it. Yeah, this was a very important fish. David Wharton caught 3 of them during that event.
For number 7, Ish Monroe, and we take you out to Clear Lake, California.
Come and get you some. 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 I watched her eat it. I saw a little bed over there. Flipped it over there, and I just see this mouth come up and open. I'm like, does she have it? I see my line swimming. Partner, take a little high five. Little high five on that. Okay, that was a low. That's a high. Woo, woo!
High five for Ish Monroe in position number 7. For catch number 6 of the year, another Californian, Skeet Reese, on another lake where the fishing was tough, the Harris Chain in Central Florida. And Skeet was coming from last place on a charge all the way up to first.
Won that event, Tommy, and we saw lots of small fish. This one kind of kicked Skeet off.
Get you some of that, bro.
Everybody getting some of that on the CITGO Bassmaster Tour 2003 for catch number 5. We head back out to California, famous Clear Lake, California, final day of competition, the Super 6 in action on our 6-hole course. With 30 seconds left in hole number 2, Waco, Texas, Alton Jones.
I got it. Oh, yeah. Time to go to the next hole. 30 seconds left in that hole. Woo! That fish should go 6 pounds.
Gotta quit fishing here now.
Man, all you can say about Alton Jones is the perfect place, the perfect timing. Oh, he's on fire. But check this out. Gary Klein, Lake Seminole, he caught a bunch of fish to win that thing, but none more dramatic than this. Look at him sliding this giant bass right to the camera lens over the hyacinths. Go, Gary Klein. That is why he lands in the number 4 position.
That one right there had ESPN written all over it. She definitely played for the cameras.
For catch of the year number 3, we are headed to our big fish lake of the year, Santee Cooper in South Carolina. This is Oklahoma's Edwin Evers.
And this is an 8-pound fish. Tommy, you'd think that'd be big enough to make the number 3 catch, wouldn't you? Well, the thing that really makes it significant is he accidentally had too many fish in his live well, had to turn loose that 8-pounder. Broke his heart.
Swim back for tomorrow, girl, if I get a fish again tomorrow.
For our runner-up catch of the year in the number 2 position, back to Lake Seminole. We're not leaving the amateurs out of the mix here. This is Shaw Grigsby's amateur partner, David Galloway, and he has hung something big.
And he has hung it back in the brush where Shaw is going to have to start his big engine and push the boat back there. So in order to do that, he has to help his non-boater get his life jacket on, put his life jacket on, and then make his move back into the really thick, nasty grass.
Goodness.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Yeah, baby. Woo!
Thank you, Lord.
That's you, buddy.
Woo.
Are you happy about that?
Yes, I am.
That's good.
I don't really know if we've got words to express to properly set up the number 1.
Oh, you mean that wasn't it?
That was not it. Number 1 comes to us from the California Delta, Robert Lee out there going for his 4th consecutive Bassmaster event win on the California Delta, and this is what happens.
Oh my God. It's a freaking gorilla. Come here, big mama. Open your mouth for me. I got you. Oh! Now that's what I like. Oh my God. I love you. Can you fit? I better put it in this other side.
We're probably within ounces.
Well, I got one more, but he's not very big.
Well, let's see it. I think we're within 6 ounces, maybe.
There it is, your #1 catch of the year. Robert Lee with the Tour win in the unprecedented 4-peat on the California Delta. And Jerry, will we ever see the like of that again?
That was the #1 catch of the year, and you and I have been doing this for several years, and that was possibly the best catch I have ever seen.
Well, the best is still yet to come this year on the 2003 CITGO Bassmaster Tour. 1 event left next week on the Alabama River. We could settle the Busch Angler of the Year race. So much more going on. We will see you same time right here on the CITGO Bassmaster Tournament Trail.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPNOutdoors.com.